Once again, I'd like to welcome everybody to the 2025 National Western Stock Show for January 19th here in the historic Stadium Arena. This is the last year that our cattle shows will take place in Stadium Arena. They've been taking place since 1909 here in this historic building. We're going to go ahead and get started with our Junior Key Angus show. We're going to start off our day today with Class 201 of Key Angus Early Junior Heifer Calves, which were calved in January. Our judge for our junior show is Mr. Jared Arthur. Jared Arthur is a native Oklahoman and third-generation cattleman. Jared attended Oklahoma State University in Stillwater, Oklahoma, and started Lucky Strike Show Cattle, which he has owned and operated for the last 18 years. Jared focuses on providing high-quality show steers and heifers to 4-H and FFA exhibitors throughout the nation and has helped exhibitors see success at all levels. Jared and his wife, Blaine Arthur, run around 200 purebred and club calf females, and they raise both fall and spring borns in Oklahoma. Jared and Blaine have two children, Kelton and Kennedy. Kelton and Kennedy both enjoy showing cattle and being part of the daily cattle operations. We appreciate Mr. Jared Arthur judging our junior show today. In the ring, like we said, is Class 201 of Key Angus Early Junior Heifers. We have a single entry within this class. This is entry 1327, comes from Braxton Cole of Lockney, Texas.
Well, good morning. Certainly an honor and a privilege to be here with you today to sort through your Key and Key Angus Junior shows. And starting off with a bang here, a young man brings us a September heifer calf that she's impressive, whether she's scooting around the ring or he has her here at the stand. One that you just have to appreciate her silhouette, the way she ties her neck high out of the top side of her shoulder, blends and proportions so well from there back. One of the more impressive things about her is when you get right up on top of her, this female opens up with some true dimension, some true width, and some shape. When you get right in behind her, a powerful made female that comes with some extra foot size and bone and still does that in a unique look and an attractive feminine appeal here from the side. So great way to start. Let's give this young man a big round of applause to get us started here as we work through your Key Angus.
Your results for Class 201 of your Key Angus Early Junior Heifers. First place and your champion Early Junior Heifer Calf is entry 1327 from Braxton Cole. In the ring at this time now is Class 202 of Key Angus Senior Heifer Calves, calved in September. This is a single entry class 1328, comes from Braxton Cole of Lockney, Texas.
Well, young man brings us another nice heifer here, and she will be also a division champion. As we study this female, she's a long-sided female that's feminine attractive about the way she's made through the top side of her neck there and the shape of her skull. A long-hipped, long-sided female that does that very level, maintains that spine there as you put her into motion. She's a female that has some shape and has enough dimension to her. I think she's soft enough in terms of her body. As we read her there right at the backside of her forearm into her rib, we could open her up and soften her up. I guess if we're going to get critical of this female, she's just a little more upright in the angle of her shoulder and through her front end, but I think a female still, the way she's built through her hip and hind leg, still comfortable the way she goes to the surface. We could tweak her and change her there in those few areas, but still a high-quality, feminine built female that gives you a nice look here from the side. Congratulations again, young man.
Results for Class 202 of your Key Angus Senior Heifer Calves. First place and your champion Senior Heifer Calf is entry 1328 from Braxton Cole. Up next into the show ring will be Class 203. Class 203 will be Key Angus Late Spring Yearling Heifers calved in April. We have two entries slated for Class 203. Entry 1329 comes from Braden Smalley of Nevada, Iowa. And entry 1330 comes from Raymond Beneker IV of Hamilton, Ohio.
Well, it took a little more time here on this pair. Obviously, we don't have a ton of numbers, so just go ahead and take our time and work through them. A really nice, high-quality pair of heifers here as we work through this division. These are going to be champion and reserve. I think a high-quality pair, and I think there's some differences as you start to study the cattle. For me, the young lady's heifer that we chose to lead off, just a little more frame, a little more power, and a little more stature to her as you get up off the cattle. She's a female to me that's a little bigger in her foot size as much as anything. I think she reads a little more appropriate in the angle of her shoulder and the bend from her shoulder down to the tip of her front toe there, and the way she's made out of her front skeleton. I think it allows her to go ahead and reach and cover the ground just a little more comfortable there at the stand or on the move. She's a female. When she props up, she picks her head up out of the top side of her shoulder, really attractive and high there. You get right on top of the cattle. Hooks to pin, she's broader, wider, and more opened up than the heifer that comes there in two as much as anything. Just more appropriate there in her angle. Both heifers are pushing just a pinch of chest here as we get them towards the end of their career, so I don't think that sorts the pair. The female that wins the class probably drops down with a little bit more true rib shape there as you study her just from her navel back, and probably a little more appropriate in the shape and size of her teats. But close pair, high quality set of heifers. The young man's heifer, another one that can give you a really neat look. I like the turn and shape to her neck and head there as we read her up front. She's a female that's really smooth made. I think she's very elegant and feminine the way she's built, very appropriate in the way that her hind legs built and the way she goes to the surface from hock to ground and the flexibility that she has there. She's a female that as we study her here, she wants to push forward up there through her shoulder just a shot, maybe not as comfortable in the angle there, and doesn't read with quite as much power when you get right up on top of her. But having to be critical of a nice heifer here, that's a close pair with a lot of quality in those. If you would, folks, ringside, let's congratulate these two exhibitors on a really nice pair.
Class 203 results, second place, and your reserve champion, Key Angus Late Spring Yearling Heifer, is entry 1329 from Braden Smalley of Nevada, Iowa. In first place, and your champion, Key Angus Late Spring Yearling Heifer, is entry 1330 from Raymond Benneker of Hamilton, Ohio. At this time, we will now bring in to the ring our division winners. Our judge will select your grand champion and reserve grand champion, Key Angus females.
Well, if you would, ringside, let's put our hands together for our junior Key Angus exhibitors. not a big show, but impressive in terms of quality. I just really want to say how much I appreciate the opportunity to come out here to the National Western and offer you my opinion. When Heather asked me if I was going to be able to fit it in my schedule to sort through this show this morning, I cleared my schedule because I didn't want to miss an opportunity to be here and be in this Coliseum and the opportunity to work with our youth. I think the Key Angus breed is something that has been fun to watch as these breeders and exhibitors have just continued to increase the quality in these cattle and worked at pushing their genetics forward to make that next generation so much better. I think that shows here in our 3 division champions. As we work down through the line, we'll talk to cattle briefly and keep moving along. The young man's January heifer calf here that won that 1st division, one that's impressive in terms of the way she can combine the traits that she has, still has that length and that extension and that feminine look up through her front 1/3 and her neck and skull shape. A female that from there back opens up with a ton of dimension, width and shape and power, still bold in the center portion of her rib cage and the outward turn to her cage. A female that balances up very, very well. I think when you put her into motion, her extra foot size and bone still can allow her to go out and reach and grab the surface and get around the ring very appropriately. Just so powerful, so opened up, and I think that's tough to do, to keep a female to have that elegant look up front and then open up with shape and power and dimension when you get in behind her. We could shove that tail head down into the top side of her hip, and I think just as square as she is from hooks to pins, probably does set that tail head up just a pinch higher, but I don't think it's a big issue. I think the way she can combine those traits is pretty impressive. The young man's heifer coming out in this next division, one that can balance up here from the side and still give you that feminine, attractive look that we see in the heifer that's in front of her. She's a female that does have some turn and some openness to her rib cage as well. I think she sits down comfortably on her rear hind leg the way she can use her hock and set down to the surface on her hoof. She's a female that's not just as opened up and powerful as the females on either side of her. I guess if we're going to get more critical of her, like we talked there in division, we could just change the angle and tweak the way she's built there up through her shoulder and down into her knee, but still high quality female. It's going to go out and be a good brood cow for this young man. As we get into that next division, I think that was a close placing between those 2 heifers, both high quality and both do some neat things. I think as you progress these cattle out in the pasture and making females and making cows for these young folks, I think both of them are going to do that very well. We chose the young lady's heifer here that we started with just off the way that she's built there at the ground with a little extra foot size and just a little more comfort and ease as we get her to go around the ring, and she still does that with some added power and some added dimension. She's one that can pick the top side of her neck and give you a really good look, pushing a little chest and a little brisket, but I think that comes with just where she's at in this stage. Maybe you could freshen her up just a pinch if you wanted to get critical of her. I think she's still a female that opens up with some mass and some rib cage, so a second place there to her that was also very high quality. We talked about just tweaking her slightly in terms of the way she's built in her front skeleton that kind of sorted that. A really good show here for the numbers that we had. Folks ringside, one more time if you would please. Let's give these kids a strong congratulations. We'll get you a champion in reserve.
Your grand champion Key Angus female comes from the 1st division of junior heifer calves. That is entry 1327 from Braxton Cole of Lockney, Texas. Your reserve grand champion Key Angus female comes from your last division of late spring yearling heifers. That is entry 1330 from Raymond Benneker of Hamilton, Ohio. At this time, we will take a picture break at the backdrop with our official photographers, Legacy Livestock Imaging, with our key Angus exhibitors. Once our picture break has concluded, we will move right along into our next show, which I believe will be the Open Key Angus Female Show. We'll start up with Class 301. Welcome everybody back to our Key Angus show. Walking in the ring now is Class 301. These are Key Angus late junior heifer calves, calved April. This is our open division. This is the only class within its division. First place within Class 301 will become your champion Key Angus late junior heifer calf. We have in the ring entry 3462 from Katie and Sam Rucker of Montague, Texas.
Well, good morning. What an honor it is to be here in Denver on the Hill to sort through the open Key and Key Angus shows, and really nice way to get started here today. I think the young lady brings a May heifer calf that you sure have to appreciate when you step back and just analyze her on the profile. Heifer that balances up so good. I like the just extra extension she has from her shoulder through her front 1/3. Heifer for me that's ultra neat when you get in behind her in terms of just the extra stoutness of hip and stoutness of her quarter, really flexible, sound structured, just a really nice single entry. Let's give her a nice hand. What a way to start this Key Angus show.
Class 301 results. First place in your champion late junior heifer calf. Entry 3462 comes from Katie and Sam Rutger of Montague, Texas. Up next will be Class 302 of Key Angus early junior heifer calves calved in January. We have entry 3464 comes from Braxton Cole of Lockney, Texas. This is the only class within the division. First place within Class 302 becomes your champion Key Angus early junior heifer calf.
Well, as someone that brings Key Angus, I'll tell you right now, it's really hard to build a Key Angus heifer like this, just in terms of the foot and bone work that this female has, the extra stoutness of her, and just how big and bold she is out of her hip, while still blending everything together in a really smooth package. You know, for me, she maybe just be pushing a little bit of condition up here on her front end, but by no means is she heavy-fronted. Just something I think as she continues to develop, a way to maybe just make sure you keep that front end really fresh. But you set this heifer in motion. She's sound, flexible, got a good set of feet and legs under her. Just a really nice single entry for this young man that could definitely stand more competition.
Class 302 results. First place and your champion early junior heifer calf for the Key Angus is entry 3464 from Braxton Cole of Lockney, Texas. We'll give our exhibitor a chance to switch animals, and we'll bring in Class 303. Class 303 will be Key Angus senior heifer calves calved in September of 2023. Within Class 303, we have a single entry. 3465 comes from Braxton Cole of Lockney, Texas. This will be the only class within its division. Therefore, first place within Class 303 will become your champion senior heifer calf. While we give the Cole family a chance to switch out back tags and their animals, we'll go over our judge for the open shows for today. Our judge is Miss Kelsey Evans. She resides in Campbellsburg, Kentucky, where she and her husband own and operate Evans Cattle Company. They run 50 registered Key Angus and Angus cows, focusing heavily on AI and ET. Growing up, she was extremely active in the junior livestock program, primarily through 4-H, FFA, and the American Chianina Association. She graduated from Morehead State University in 2013 with a bachelor's degree in ag business and marketing. While in college, Kelsey was a member of the livestock judging team at both Fort Scott Community College and Morehead State. Currently, Kelsey serves as territory manager for 4Max Feeds, a division of Berkman Nutrition, working closely with independent farm dealers and distributors. She's active with the American Chianina Ladies Auxiliary, serving as president as well as chair of the Key Angus Classic Committee. She and her husband have 2 kids, Kennedy and Brooks. Kelsey has judged livestock in 8 states and Canada. We appreciate Mrs. Evans being here today to judge our open shows here for the Key Angus and Chianina shows.
Well, the young man brings another really nice single entry, and definitely his heifers could stand to have some more contemporaries out to compare to, but the quality is still really good and most deserving of division winners for sure. Here's a heifer. I just love a lot of things about her. Her extra length down her top and hip. She still holds herself together adequately enough when she gets out and goes. Wants to fight with him a little bit, so she wants to just kind of drop in those pins and maybe get a little tighter out of her hip when you set her in motion. But I think when you study her angles, her shoulder sits really good into her body, or on her body. Her forerib blends really nicely into a robust rib cage. Just a really nice single entry. Again, congratulations to this young man.
Your results for Class 303. First place and your champion senior heifer calf is entry 3465 from Braxton Cole of Lockney, Texas. Up next for our Key Angus show, we'll be moving on to Class 304. Class 304 is Key Angus Summer Yearling Heifers calved in May. We have a single entry within Class 304. This is entry 3466 from Katie and Sam Rutger of Montague, Texas. This is the only class within the division, so first place within Class 304 becomes your champion summer yearling heifer.
Well, yet again, another single entry here, and again, repetitive, but one that could stand some more competition. Really like this female when I get in behind her, analyze her down her top. She's got that extra spread up high and just kind of shapes down into a really robust, really nice rib cage. Has some extra stoutness to her stifle and her hip. Really good footed in terms of how she hits the ground with a lot of authority on a really good, nicely shaped foot. A heifer, if you want to get a little critical, maybe tuck that chest back into her, but a female that is a few months away from calving, going to calve right before her second birthday, surely going to have a nice udder. You can see some of those indicators already starting to develop, but put your hands together, a nice single entry here.
Class 304 results: first place 34.66, and your champion summer yearling heifer comes from Katie and Sam Rucker of Montague, Texas. We'll clear out our ring and bring up now Class 305. 305 is Key Angus late spring yearling heifers calved in April of 2023. We have two entries that will make up Class 305. This is entry 3467 from Braden Smalley of Nevada, Iowa, and 3469 from Raymond Benneker IV of Hamilton, Ohio. These are your two entries that will make up Class 305. 305 is the only class within its division. First and second within Class 305 becomes your champion and reserve champion late spring yearling heifers.
Well, obviously, the only non-single entry that we have, and I'll tell you, I kind of like those single entries if the decisions are going to be this challenging. But I'll tell you what, both of these heifers are nice, and honestly, if you combine parts and pieces of both of them into one, I think you'd have a heifer that maybe I into a little easier, but they're different, and I'll just describe to you what I see. The young man's heifer that's ultimately going to win the class with, I think when you step back and just analyze this female here on the profile, she holds herself together a lot better and just gives you a much better look. She ties better out of the top side of her shoulder. She is more upright and erect there in terms of how that front end just sits onto her body. I think she's more genuine down her top and out of her hip. She's squarer and leveler from hooks to pins, and I think that's where she has a big advantage compared to the heifer that's going to be second, is she is squarer, she is stouter pinned, and she is fresher conditioned. And I think that's one of the things that, along ringside you might say, that heifer's lighter weight. Yes, she is, but she's a lot fresher and doesn't have the extra condition on her. Love the soft, just sweeping rib cage that she has. She's sound enough when you put her in motion. To me, how she handles her hind legs in comparison to the heifer that's going to be second, she has a distinct advantage, especially from hock to ground. Love the size and frame, and I think you can breed this heifer to a lot of different bulls and probably build those offspring to have some of those features that I just described out of that first place heifer. For me, love the top shape and just the density that this female has through the center portion of her body. A female that still has some genuine shape down her top and out through her hip. To me, she is just too heavy conditioned. I know she's going to calve here in a couple of months, but she's pushing a little extra chest. She's got some fat indicators there around her tail head that maybe just doesn't allow her hip to stay as square. And kind of throws her balance off. She wants to get a little run downhill just a little bit. But I love the softness, really good foot shape. You set her in motion and she's sound enough. If I could just square this heifer up from hock to ground, like I mentioned about that class winner, a female I think that could rival that decision a little harder. But still, no question, a really nice second place heifer that's going to end up in B Reserve Division.
Results for Class 305, second place, and your reserve champion late spring yearling heifer is entry 3469 from Raymond Benneker of Hamilton, Ohio. Your class winner and champion late spring yearling heifer is entry 3467 from Braden Smalley of Nevada, Iowa. At this time, within our show, we will bring back all our division winners, and our judge will select your grand and reserve grand champion Key Angus females. From your first division of junior heifer calves, entry 3462 comes from Katie and Sam Rutger of Montague, Texas. From your second division of junior heifer calves, your champion 3464 from Braxton Cole of Lockney, Texas. From your third division of senior heifer calves, champion 3465 from Braxton Cole of Lockney, Texas. From your fourth division of summer yearling heifers, champion 3466 from Katie and Sam Rutger of Montague, Texas. And from your fifth and final division of late spring yearling heifers, your champion 3467 from Braden Smalley of Nevada, Iowa, and the reserve champion spring yearling heifer 3469 from Raymond Benneker of Hamilton, Ohio. These are your division winners. For your judge, Kelsey Evans, to select your grand and reserve grand champion Key Angus females.
Well, like any Key Angus show, if you along ringside follow the breed at all, you know that the numbers at any event that you go to are not the biggest. But I'll tell you, the quality from top to bottom is always incredibly good. And to be here at the National Western and to see these 6 heifers representing this breed, is definitely no different. Quality has been really good. Exhibitors have been really good. And like I said in my bio, I grew up in the Key breed, kind of from start to finish throughout my junior show career. This is the breed that my family exhibited. This is the breed that my husband and I raise at home. That's what our kids show. And so I'm very connected to, some of the people in the ring, whether I showed with you throughout my junior career, or maybe your family members are now exhibiting, fellow breeders, people we've bought cattle from. And so it's just an honor to be able to stand here and give you guys my opinion. And so I know we still have the Key show and some bulls to sort through, but I'll tell you what, there's no greater honor than the opportunity that I have right now to just stand here in front of my peers, evaluate your cattle. And so I want to thank the Key Association, the senior board, and you breeders for bringing your cattle here to allow me to sort through. Like I said, not a tremendous amount of numbers, but quality is still really good. We started here with this red Key Angus heifer calf out of the first division, and her best days are ahead of her. Just super good built, really good profiling, love the design, really good from a structural standpoint. Just still a little green today, I think, compared to some of the other heifers in the lineup. Single entry spring heifer calf division, and let me tell you, that heifer could have stood a lot more competition. As I mentioned, just really hard to make a Key Angus heifer with this much just genuine shape and power and muscle while still being sound, good-footed, and having that extra substance on the bottom side of her skeleton. Just a nice heifer there. The next fall heifer here in line, one that I said, really good profiling, ties really good out of the top side of her shoulder. She's settled in and acting a little bit better, and so when you get her out and watch her just move around the ring, she's holding herself together better, not fighting as much, and you can see that her mobility is a little more fluid than it was the first time in the ring. The May yearling heifer, another one in terms of just mass and power and just the extra dimension. No question that this is going to be a heifer that you tie into. She's still sound enough and flexible enough when you put her out on the move. It's ultra long, good looking. Like I mentioned, maybe you want to just tuck that chest back in her a little bit, but I admire the udder quality that she's going to have as a cow, like that development that you see. The oldest division here was the one that we, had just those 2 heifers in it, some variation, some give and take amongst the 2. I elected to go with the better looking, better profiling female that just balanced up, more ideal and was sounder structured, but still really good second behind her that has the extra mass and just genuine depth of side and body. So you can see, a little variation from the youngest heifer all the way to the oldest heifer out here, but just a tremendous amount of quality, and I think all females that are going to fit into these breeders programs really, really well. So if you'll put your hands together and just congratulate these Key Angus exhibitors, I'll go get you a pair of heifers. But again, thank you so much for having me. This is just probably one of the greatest honors as a Key breeder that I could ever ask for.
Your grand champion Key Angus female comes from your second division. That is going to be your champion of your early junior heifer calves, entry 3464 from Braxton Cole of Lockney, Texas. Your reserve grand champion Key Angus female comes from your last division, which is your late spring yearling heifer champion, 3467 from Braden Smalley of Nevada, Iowa. At this time, we'll take a short picture break with our exhibitors at the backdrop. Once our exhibitors have concluded and are available to join us, we will go on to Class 101, which will be our junior Chianina show. We'll start off again with Class 101. It'll be Key Summer Heifer calves calved in May. Making their way into the ring now is going to be our first class of our junior Chianina show, Class 101. These are Key Summer Heifers calved May of 2024. We have a single entry within Class 101. This is entry 1302, comes from Ava McCoy of Worthington, Minnesota. This is the only entry within the class, the only class in its division. Therefore, first place with Class 101 becomes your champion Summer Heifer.
Well, as we get started here in your Chianina heifer show, I think a good way to start. Young lady brings us a single entry, a high-quality, bold-bodied, good-looking female here. As we step off the side of her, a female, you just love that swoop and that turn to her lower body wall there as you get off the side. A female that's just so good in terms of her hooks to pin placement and the way she's built there as far as just her true width and dimension. You know, she's fighting the young lady a little tough to tell. We could maybe just relax her in her spine. Maybe as we get her out here with some other cattle, she'll become a little more comfortable. But high quality heifer, a nice way to get us started. If you would, let's put our hands together for this young lady.
Class 101 results, first place entry 1302, and becoming your champion summer heifer calf comes from Ava McCoy of Worthington, Minnesota. Walking in the ring is now Class 102. These are Chianina late junior heifer calves calved in April of 2024. We have entries 1303 from Miley Parker of Clarksville, Arkansas. And 1305 comes to us from Anna Altman of Worthington, Minnesota. These are your two entries that make up Class 102.
Well, as we work through this second class, I think a challenging pair, because I think you can sort them one way on the stand and one way on the move. Anybody that knows me knows I love them built right at the ground and flexible and comfortable and athletic. As we ask the cattle to go, I'll be the first to tell you the black heifer, maybe not quite as highly presented and not as progressed in terms of her maturity pattern, but I think a female in terms of just the way she's built, joints, her feet, and the way she's flexible down to the surface is something that you really have to appreciate about her. She's more comfortable in her spine. She remains more collected and true out of the backside of her hip when we put the cattle into motion. I'd like to change the way she just hooks up right there at the top side of her blade and change the way her neck comes out of her shoulder, but she's a female to me, still has some rib shape and has some genuine density to her, and you put her into motion, she's just more comfortable, more relaxed, and maintains better in her spine there. there as we ask the cattle to get out and go. I love this yellow heifer at the stand, so bold and opened up in her body shape, got some actual dimension and some power, and does pick her neck up out of the top side of her shoulder a lot more comfortable when we put her here at the stand. In motion, she's just not as collected. You'll notice she wants to raise in her spine there at the back side of her pins and just not as collected the way she goes off her rear skeleton. I know she's fighting this young lady, and you got to take that into consideration, but if we could change the way she goes there from the middle part of her back to the back side of her pins and the way she sets her rear leg to the surface, I think no doubt she's our class winner today for me. We're going to have to ask them to go a little better, so that sorts that pair. Let's put our hands together for those two young folks.
The results for Class 102. Second place, entry 1305 from Anna Altman of Worthington, Minnesota. And your class winner, entry 1303, comes from Miley Parker of Clarksville, Arkansas. Walking in the ring at this time is now Class 103. These are Chianina late junior heifer calves calved in March of 2024. We have two entries that make up Class 103. 1307 comes from Charlene Kimball of Seymour, Wisconsin. And 1309 comes from Braden Smalley of Nevada, Iowa. These are your two entries that make up Class 103. Class 103 is our last class within our division of late junior heifer calves.
Well, definitely the easiest decision I've had thus far through the Chianina show. A young man brings us an ultra high quality one. She's one that's fun to study, whether she's on the go or she's on the stand. One that just stays so collected and so comfortable in her lines. She's a feminine, attractive, thin-necked heifer that can just park there. That look she gives you when she drops her nose and throws her ears forward, hard to deny the quality that this female has up through her front 1/3. And as you study her from there back, she's one that opens up with some true width and dimension, got some top shape and some turn to the lower part of her body wall, and then goes to the surface on a big set of feet and legs, and comfortable the way she goes around the surface. She's a fun one to study. Anybody that knows what I like knows I can dig cattle built like that one. This young lady, hats off to her for staying hooked with this heifer. She's got the cable on and she's doing what she can to stay in control there, and she's got a nice heifer, a high-performing, long-sided, attractive made type of female that the young lady brings us, one that's just ultra attractive up front, maintains her lines in motion there, attractive and balanced, and still can get around the ring with some comfort and ease. Doesn't have that overwhelming mass and look and bone of the heifer that starts the class, but still a high quality heifer for that young lady.
Class 103 results, second place, 1307 from Charlene Kimball of Seymour, Wisconsin. Class winner 1309 comes from Braden Smalley of Nevada, Iowa. At this time, we'll bring back our class winners from classes 102 and 103. Our Judge Jared Arthur will select your champion and reserve champion late junior heifer calves.
Well, if you would, ringside, let's start by congratulating these youth exhibitors on a nice set of first and seconds. You know, I think as we work our way through this second division, just forehead, but I think some quality as we go through here and start to study the cattle, starting off with the young lady in the blue shirt. Like we talked, that heifer maybe doesn't just overwhelm you today as far as just where she's at in terms of just maybe condition and presentation, but I think a female, when you just break them down and you study the basics and fundamentals of good cattle, I think she has that. I think the way she's built from hock to ground and the set of her foot and the size of her foot, I think is very, very good. You ask the cattle to go around the ring, I think she reaches and grabs the ground very attractively and remains true and level in her spine. She's a female. With that, still has some added dimension and power and has that actual true depth to her side there. We talked about changing the way she hooks up there at the top side of her blade and make her a little more attractive. The way that neck comes out of the top side of her shoulder, but I think a female from there back, very, very good in her basic build, and a female, I think, as we progress them down the road, a female to me that looks like she could get better with time. A really high quality second place heifer. We talked about her on the stand, one you really love a lot of things about in motion. We get a little more critical of her, but man, what a cow for this young lady, and options to go down the road and breed on. As we get into this next class, one that just gives you a dynamic look here from the side, just how comfortable she is and allows her head and neck to pick up out of her shoulder so exquisitely there up front, and a female that just balances so good here from the side, just underline and top line, very proportional in the way those lines hook up. A female, when you get right up on top of her, big out of the back side of her blade and out to the back side of her hip, and a female that comes with some extra power, sits down on some added foot size and bone. I think a female still very comfortable and athletic as we ask her to get out and go around the ring. And the young lady that's doing a great job there with her second place heifer, a female that's high performing, got some extra grow and some length and some stretch to her, just didn't have that added mass and power and substance as we read her down the road too. You know, I like cattle with extra power and I like them with some extra substance, but we're still going to have them look like females. I think there's one out here that does that very well. If you would, ringside, one more time for me, put your hands together for these kiddos working hard. We'll get you a champion in reserve.
Your late junior heifer calf champion comes from Class 103, that is entry 1309 from Braden Smalley of Nevada, Iowa. Now in consideration will be the second place coming out of Class 103 for the reserve of your late junior heifer calf. Your reserve champion key late junior heifer calf comes from Class 102, that is entry 1303 from Miley Parker of Clarksville, Arkansas. We'll work to get our ring cleared out, and then we will move on for Class 104. Class 104 will be key early junior heifer calves, calved of February of 2024. Within Class 104, we have entries 1311, comes from Vidalia Kimball of Seymour, Wisconsin. And rounding out our class is entry 1312 from Ella Rogers of Burlington, Colorado. These are your two entries that make up Class 104. Class 104 is the only class in its division. So first and second within Class 104 becomes your champion and reserve champion key early junior heifer calves. Don't forget, today is the day, January 19th at 5 p.m. here in Stadium Arena. Everyone is invited to celebrate the last since 1909, the last over 100 years of crowning champions here in Stadium Arena. You can join the National Western Stock Show's livestock staff. We'll have a tribute to the champion livestock, the dedicated exhibitors, and the rich history of excellence that's been presented through this building. The Stadium Arena celebration is presented by Common Spirit Health, Purina's Honor Show, and Transova Genetics. There'll be live music by the Eric Golden Band, beer, cocktails, raffles, and plenty of food to go around. So join us here this evening at 5 p.m. after our conclusions of our cattle shows here at Stadium Arena.
Well, these two heifers these young ladies bring us are going to be your division and reserve champions, so we'll talk through them, and I'll tell you how I place them. The young lady here that comes first, sided high-performing female that's got some extra stretch and some extra length. You like that about her as far as just having some length of side and some length of hip and some extension. You know, I think as you start to really break the cattle down, she's one that's just a little steeper and straighter there in the angle of her shoulder and down there into her knee. We could relax her, and just for my likings, we could moderate her frame just a shot and soften her up. But I think a female, as time goes on, she's pretty green and pretty immature. I think as we put some more weight on her, I think her rib cage will come, like we talked about, as much as anything, like to just tweak and change the way she's built there up through her front skeleton. Extra stout, extra powerful one coming in here next. One you get behind her, and she's impressive, and just the lower shape and turn that she has. And you hear me talk muscle quite a bit, and our program at home is pretty versatile as far as raising some show steers and raising some females. So we try to toy that line of stout enough to go both ways for us. This is a female, no doubt. You could see raising some steers, big-bodied, soft-centered, really opened up in terms of the way she's built there in the lower part of her rib cage. She's a female that's attractive in the way that her hind leg sets to the surface with some added bone. I think her angles read very appropriately. You know, we put her into motion, and she wants to tie just a shot lower and maybe raise up there in the middle part of her back. So if we're going to get critical of her, that's where we'd change her. But a female that you just love that extra power and the extra dimension, and still having that soft-sided look here from the side. So young lady out of the second class is going to have your division champion. Young lady over here will be reserve.
Results for Class 104, second place, and your reserve champion early junior heifer calf is entry 1311 from Vidalia Kimball. Your class winner and your champion early junior heifer calf is entry 1312 from Ella Rogers. Stepping in the ring now is Class 105. Class 105 is Key Summer yearling heifers calved in June of 2023. We have two entries making up Class 105. 1315 comes from Skylar Coffey of Garden Grove, Iowa. 1316 comes from Kinsley Bremer of Fullerton, Nebraska. These are your entries that make up Class 105.
Pair of June heifers here as we work through this next class. I think some trade-offs. I love the freshness of this young lady's heifer that we start with. So flat and neat and laid in there at the top of her shoulder and down into the point of her shoulder. I love the extra femininity that she shows us through the top side of her neck, and the shape to her skull and down into her throat latch stays tight and neat there at about the base of her chest, and then you go from there back. A female that still offers that depth of side and that softness of rib cage as you step off the cattle. She doesn't give up any in terms of actual width and dimension and power when you step in behind the cattle. I think very comfortable and mobile as we ask her to get around the ring, and does that on a big foot with some circumference of hoof and some spread to her toes and some bone shape, bone size and extra substance. I think a high quality heifer. You love the freshness and the condition that she comes to us today. The Baldy, no doubt, just has that brood cow look, that massive opened up rib cage, and she does have the extra power and the extra turn to the lower part of her body wall. For me, as we study her up there through her shoulder and her neck, she wants to open at the back side of her blade, not hook up quite as neat, but more importantly, we just need to freshen her up and just change the shape of her skull, make her a shot more feminine there through the front part of her skull and through the base of her throat latch. But one still, for that much mass and that much dimension and that much openness, can still get out and reach and stride and take a long, fluid, athletic step. So high quality pair of heifers. Congratulations to those young ladies there in that class.
Class 105 results. Second place, 13-16, comes from Kinsley Bremer of Fullerton, Nebraska. And your class winner, 13-15, from Skylar Coffey of Garden Grove, Iowa. In the ring now is Class 106. These are summer yearling heifers calved May of 2023. We have entries 13-17 from William Miller of Gridley, Illinois. And we have entry 13-18 coming from Landry Tibbetts of Mineral Point, Wisconsin. These are your two entries that make up Class 106. Class 106 is the last class for our division of summer yearling heifers.
Well, as we get into this next class, what a pair of females these two young men have brought us. And I think there's some trade-offs. Very, very high quality is the only word I can come up with for this pair. And there's trade-offs, and there is give and take. I think the freshness that this young man's heifer that starts the class with is just undeniable. The way she blends right there at the backside of her blade, the way she's built into the lower part of her shoulder, how tucked and tight she is at the base of her chest, and neat and clean about her jawline, still so feminine about the shape of her skull and the attractive look she gives you up front there. I think that one is just so fresh and so neat to be at this stage in the ball game, and still with that added smoothness and tightness and freshness up front, still just as bold and opened up as you could ask one to be. Get up on top of the cattle, still some extra power, some extra width from hooks to pins. You love the way she's built there, out of the backside of her hip, and the way her tail head sets there off the backside of her pins. One that does that with some added substance and some foot size and bone. I think her flexibility is still very, very good. I think when you put the cattle into motion, this female's just a shot more comfortable. The way she can pick her head up out of the top side of her shoulder, the way she can just go around the ring with a little more ease and set her head up out of the top side of her shoulder. I think that part there up front is what sorts the pair for me. They're both bold. They're both powerful. They're both got plenty of substance to them. This one's just a shot more comfortable and laid in, just a shot better there, like we talked, at the base of her shoulder and the base of her chest. This one on the stand, when she finally goes ahead and perks and pops her head up, another one that you really got to love. I love the shape of her skull as well. She's another one that's still tight and neat about the base of her jawline, a female that's got some extra length. And if you want to say she's the longer-sided, longer-hipped heifer of the pair, I can't argue that. A female that does have that extra length, you love her underline and the shape to her body wall there as you study her in the undercarriage of her body. A female, like we talked at the stand, can give you a killer look. She's pushing some more chest. She's not quite as just pushed in and laid in quite as nicely there at the point of her shoulder, at the back of her blade. A female very flexible off her rear skeleton, goes out and reaches in motion, wants to just duck her head into her shoulder and get up a shot behind her spine. A stout one that's bold and opened up. Awesome, awesome pair that's cutting fine hairs. Very, very good pair of heifers for these young men. Let's put our congratulations together for those two, if you would.
Class 106 results. Second place, 13-18, comes from Landry Tibbetts. And first place was entry 13-17 from William Miller. At this time, we will now bring back our class winners from classes 105 and 106. Our judge, Jared Arthur, will select your champion and reserve champion summer yearling heifers for the division.
Well, really, really good division, and the highest quality set of females that we've had thus far to select the division champion from. So before we get started describing the cattle, let's put our hands together for these kids. This is an awesome set. As we got started here in this first class, the female that started there in this first class is one that she gives you a really attractive, neat look up front there. One that is bold and opened up in the center part of her body. A female that I think can get around the ring plenty adequately. If you really start to study her, maybe just a shot steeper there in the angle of her shoulder, but I think still one at the stand here can give you an awesome look. They've done a great job presenting her hip and getting her her pin's picked up out of her. I think when you see through the hair, she's just a shot lower pin, but a female that does that with some power and some substance, an attractive female. She's a little shorter sided and a little more moderate in her kind, which not a problem for me. I'd probably rather have moderate cattle than bigger cattle in my operation, but that's a nice heifer the young lady brings us there out of that first class. Big, stout, powerful, opened up one in the baldy. We talked about changing the shape of her skull and the base of her throat latch there, freshening her up, but a flexible, bold-built one that you got to appreciate the cow power that she's going to offer this young lady as she goes down the road into production. An awesome pair of females here that came out of this second class, and like we talked about, sorting some hairs, or splitting hairs here to sort this pair of females. I think it's hard as we get these cattle near the end of their show careers to keep them with enough mass and enough dimension and still so fresh. And anybody knows our operation and the kind of cattle that we try to exhibit, we probably toy the line of skinny or fresh, too fresh, I guess, if you will. And that's what I appreciate about this heifer. She is so thin and so neat on the top side of her neck and so clean and just tight about the base of her chest and the way her throat latch is built there. A female that's just extra exquisite up front and still with that offers enough true width and dimension and body mass. I think very flexible and appropriate in her angles off both ends of her skeleton. And the young man's heifer that was second, man, what a heifer that you have to appreciate for her true added mass and body. You get behind her, man, she is really, really stout, really powerful and opened up. We talked about a few minor things there up through her shoulder and the base of her chest that sorted that pair. But awesome, awesome division. We're going to keep these two young men out of this second class together. They're going to be your champion in reserve.
Your champion summer yearling heifer comes from Class 106. That is entry 1317 from William Miller of Gridley, Illinois. Your reserve champion summer yearling heifer comes from the same class. That is entry 1318 from Landry Tibbetts of Mineral Point, Wisconsin. Coming in the ring at this time now is Class 107. These are Chianina late spring yearling heifers calved in April of 2023. We have a single entry 1319 comes from Hilton Smith of Kiowa, Colorado. This is the only class within its division, so first place within Class 107 will become your champion late spring yearling heifer.
Well, just a single entry here, going to end up being a division champion. But what just a powerful cowie type of female that this young person's brought us. One, when you study her there from the backside of her shoulder back, just opened up and massive in terms of the type of rib shape and mass and width and dimension that she does offer us. A female that still picks her head up and gives you an attractive look. Yeah, she's pushing a little sternum there at the front side of her body wall, but that still matches her extra dimension and width that she does offer us. You know, she's a little reluctant at times to just set that rear foot down and go ahead and drive and push off of it as we compare it to an ideal. But what a nice cow prospect for this young man here. Let's put our hands together for his division champion at the National Western.
Class 107 results in your champion late spring yearling heifer first place, 1319 from Hilton Smith of Kiowa, Colorado. That moves us on to Class 108. Class 108 will be key early spring yearling heifers, calved of March of 2023. With Within Class 108, we have entry 1324 comes from Jackie Schlechter of Abilene, Kansas. This is the only class in its division, so first place within Class 108 will become your division champion for your early spring yearling heifers.
Well, another single entry and going to be a division champion here. A female here you just got to appreciate just for her feminine and cow-like build that she offers us here today. A female nearing becoming productive and getting a calf on her side. You can tell she's getting close. Young lady said she's due on Saturday, and it's certainly showing a female. You got to appreciate that about her. She's a long-sided female that blends very smoothly and very neat there the backside of her shoulder and through her midrib and back into her hip. A female that gives you an extra attractive look here and just her proportions and her balance as we get off here from the side. She's one to me, she's powerful enough. She doesn't maybe offer that extra stoutness just right out of the backside of her hip, but a female that makes up for that in terms of just how smooth and comfortable she is as we ask her to go around the ring. So high quality female here for a division champion for this young lady. Let's put our hands together. We'll study her a little more in our champion drive.
Results for Class 108, first place in your champion key early spring yearling heifer is going to be entry 1324 from Jackie Schlechter of Abilene, Kansas. Making their way into the ring now is your division champions. For our judge, Jared Arthur, to select your grand and reserve grand champion, Chianina females. From your first division, your champion summer heifer calf is entry 1302 from Ava McCoy of Worthington, Minnesota. From your second division of late junior heifer calves, your champion 1309 from Braden Smalley of Nevada, Iowa. The reserve being entry 1303 from Miley Parker of Clarksville, Arkansas. From your third division, your champions of early junior heifer calves, 1312 from Ella Rogers of Burlington, Colorado. The reserve being entry 1311 from Vidalia Kimball of Seymour, Wisconsin. Your fourth division of champions summer yearling heifers, 1317 comes from William Miller of Gridley, Illinois. The reserve being 1318 from Landry Tibbetts of Mineral Point, Wisconsin. From your fifth division of late spring yearling heifers, your champion 1319 from Hilton Smith of Kiowa, Colorado. And from your last division of early spring yearling heifers, your champion 1324 from Jackie Schlechter of Abilene, Kansas. These are your division winners. For Mr. Jared Arthur to select your grand and reserve grand champion females.
Well, what a lineup here to select your champion Chianina female. And folks, if you would, ringside, before we say a few comments, let's give these kids a big round of appreciation for their hard work and the quality cattle they brought us. You know, it's such an opportunity for me to be able to come to the National Western and stand in this historic Coliseum and sort quality livestock. And I just want to tell Dustin and Heather how much I appreciate this opportunity, and it means a lot to me. And I take judging cattle very serious because I know the hard work that these youth have put into this project. I know the money and the time and the effort that it takes to get cattle to this point, whether they're starting their show career or they're near ending it. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of effort. There's good days. There's bad days. And that all goes with it. I tell my wife all the time, there's no kind of roller coaster ride like trying to raise and show cattle because you might have the best day you've had and that evening just have something tragic happen, have your favorite cow lose a calf, whatever it may be. What I can tell you about this Coliseum is it means a ton to me. I showed here when I was a kid. It was the only national show I was fortunate enough to attend. And my son showed here. It was his first national show. My daughter's going to show here for her first time. And there's just something about walking through that door into this place that just gives you goosebumps. The amount of high-quality stockmen that have produced cattle that have come into this ring and have produced, their favorite one they ever exhibited probably showed right here in this arena. And that means a lot to me. I think it's unbelievable the years and the traditions that have been passed on through this Coliseum and just the time spent and the quality of cattle that have come through those doors. So no doubt, there's just a certain feeling that you get when you get to exhibit cattle here. No doubt, I think everybody could agree we're a little saddened by the fact that we're not going to get to show here anymore, but they have done their very best to produce the highest quality facility that you could ask for down there in the yards, and I think we look forward to getting to use that new facility. But again, to get to stand out here and offer you my opinion and someone to feel like my opinion's valuable enough to ask it to be given, especially in this place, it means the world to me, and I want to make sure that I express that. My family is everything to me. They're my biggest supporters, my biggest fans. I couldn't do it without them. And my crew at home, they're holding down the fort. Actually, the guys are on the road with some cattle today, headed out here, which gave me the opportunity to be here and be able to judge these cattle. So my hat's off to my crew at home and my family. I love them to death. These cattle have been awesome. For numbers that we had, no doubt, a lot of quality that you could come out here and find, and cattle you could tie into and really appreciate some things about. I'll be brief about some comments here, and we'll go down through the line just a little. The young lady's heifer calf, one that's got some really neat pieces and some really cool parts. I think as you study her out here, obviously the youngest and most immature in the way that she comes to us today. I think her build's high quality. I think as time goes on and she becomes a little more comfortable and relaxed, I think you'll be able to get a better look at her, but wanted to stand there can give you a really nice look. Up probably the ante just a shot as we got into this young man's second division winner. She is one here at the stand that gives you an absolutely dynamic look. The way she ties up through her front 1/3, the way her skull and ear set is really ideal. She's one that still offers that with some balance and some proportions and some power. She is one to me that when she stops and gives you that look and perks her head up, one that you just have to love her silhouette and the look that she presents us. You know, I think she's mobile enough. There's times when we get them around the ring that you could ask her just maybe to ease that hock and just use it ever so slightly better, and I hate to nitpick them because that one there has got a bright future and she is one high quality beast, but if we're just going to get real nitpicky on her today, that's maybe where we could question her ever so slightly. But one in terms of at the stand, in terms of her power and her look and her quality design here from the side, undeniable from that regard. The next heifer coming, one you just have to appreciate from just an extra red meat and power standpoint. She is the stoutest of all the heifers in the lineup in terms of just sheer power and muscle shape. One that's still bold and opened up and soft in her side. A moderate made female that looks like she's going to make a nice cow for this young lady. We talked about just changing the way she's built up through her front 1/3, and freshen her up there and just allow her to pick her head up out of her shoulder a little more comfortably. But one, you got to appreciate the extra mass and dimension. We had a pair of heifers out of that next division that I thought were very, very high quality, and there were some trade-offs. The extra fresh one the young man in the cowboy hat brought us is one that you just have to appreciate how thin and flat and laid in and smooth she is about her front 1/3, so neat and tidy to still open up with a big, bold body, and female that still has that extra width and shape and power. You step in behind her, she's opened up on a big foot, got some extra bone and substance, a female that you like a lot of things about her, and a high quality second place or reserve division behind her. The young man's red baldy, one that just reads cow power. I love her color, I love her mass, I love her substance that she comes to us with today. She's not as just neat and laid in up front there as some of the cattle on either side of her, but a female that you know is going to go out and be a productive cow for this young man and make some money for him down the road. The heifer that's out of our last division, one near calving here, one you gotta like, just her extra smoothness and her femininity as she blends her pieces together. I think her parts fit together very, very nicely. We talked about her getting close to production here. I think her udder reads plenty good enough to be able to raise a good calf here for her. A female that's flexible off her hind leg, sets down on a soft big foot, and I think can reach and grab the surface very good. One that, you get right up on top of her. She is not as just opened up and powerful when you get on top of them, and I've talked power all day, and so that's something that, like I said there in an earlier division, I like cattle that got some power. I like them with some extra width and dimension. She's maybe not quite as just neat and tidy up front for giving up that extra shot of power that maybe we have in a couple of these other ones, but man, how can you deny just her smoothness, her femininity, her silhouette here from the side, and one close to production? You got to appreciate that about them. So awesome lineup. There's some heifer calves down here. They're going to have a bright future and going to go on down the road and have a lot of fun for these young folks, and I think some big ones that got a lot of good stuff going on. So it's been a pleasure. It's really been an honor as much as anything, and I don't know how I can say how humble I am to get to stand out here and hold this mic and offer you my opinion. Been in the show cattle business as long as I can remember, and it's always been my passion. It's been my trade. It's the one thing that I always thought I wanted to do with the rest of my life. So to be able to have this opportunity means the world to me. Ringside, if you would, show these kids your appreciation. This is an awesome set of cattle. We'll get you a champion in reserve.
Your grand champion key female comes from your 4th division. That is entry 1317 from William Miller of Gridley, Illinois. Moving up into consideration will be the reserve from the division. That is entry 1318 from Landry Tibbetts. Your reserve grand champion key female also comes from your 4th division. That is entry 1318 from Landry Tibbetts of Mineral Point, Wisconsin. Congratulations to all of our Chianina female exhibitors on their junior show. We will now move over to our open key female show, which we will have a different judge, Miss Kelsey Evans, judging that one. We will take a picture break at the backdrop with our official photographers of Legacy Livestock Imaging. Once our Short picture break has concluded. We will move right into Class 101 of Key Late Junior Heifer calves calved in April. Welcome everybody back to our Chianina female show. In the ring at this time is now Class 101. These are late junior heifer calves calved in April. We have in Class 101 a single entry, 3451, comes to us from Miley Parker of Clarksville, Arkansas.
Well, we get this open key show started off with just a single entry April female, one that I really like when she sets her in motion. She's flexible and has good reach off both ends of her skeleton. I think from there up, a good profiling, long-bodied female that's good on the front end of her skeleton. Really like how that chest floor sits into her body cavity. A female for me could maybe be squared up out of her hip just a little bit, and a female that maybe wasn't blessed with the hairiest and just fuzziest coat. So I think really just honest, good female to get this class started or this division started. Let's give this young lady a nice hand. We'll see her back here for the division.
Class 101 results, first place, 3451 from Miley Parker. Up next would be Class 102. These are key late junior heifer calves calved in March of 2024. Class 102 has two entries. 3453 comes from Charlene Kimball of Seymour, Wisconsin. And 3454 comes from Braden Smalley of Nevada, Iowa. These are your two entries that make up Class 102. Class 102 is the last class for their division of late junior heifer calves.
a nice pair of females here in the second class, and a lot of difference in both of these females, but I think there's still some genuine good in both of the cattle. The heifer that's going to lead off the class, just very overwhelming and dominant in terms of her power. When you want to get in behind her and analyze her down her top and out through her hip, she's more genuine in just the extra dimension that she has, especially there, from hooks to pins. A female, when you set in motion, has a tremendous amount of just bone and just foot circumference that hits the surface. She's sound enough for me and fills her track with plenty of authority. A heifer, I think, has the biggest advantage when you just look at how these cattle are built up front. She's laid back better in the angle to her shoulder, like how that knee sits into her a little nicer than the heifer in two. No question, just a real dominant, ring-ready heifer for this young man. Really like the look and just style of the heifer in second. She's just a greener conditioned, maybe just not as mature heifer as the one that leads off the class with, but I like her size, I like her length and extension. She's really good built. She's structurally sound. Like I said, just need a redesigner and how that shoulder is a little more upright, relax her in her knee, allow her to just take a little more comfortable stride off that front end of her skeleton.
Your results for Class 102, second place 3453 from Charlene Kimball of Seymour, Wisconsin. Your class winner 3454 from Braden Smalley of Nevada, Iowa. At this time, we will now bring back our class winners from classes 101 and 102. Our judge, Kelsey Evans, will select your champion and reserve champion late junior heifer calves.
Well, out here for our first division, I think three nice females. As I mentioned in class, the heifer out of the first class is one that is kind of just a what you see, what you get. She's not blessed with the extra hair coat and doesn't maybe have just the overall look as maybe the heifer that comes out of the second class, but it's easy to read what this female possesses. I like the structural integrity and quality that she has when you set the cattle in motion. She's going to be a really nice-bodied, deep-sided female that I think is going to continue to mature and develop into a really nice show heifer for this young lady, and hopefully is really good for her into production. I mentioned in class, I'd like to just square this heifer up out of her hip, and I think that's a big advantage that the heifer has out of the second class. She's so good here from the profile. It's probably hard to draw one with a better look when you just step back and look at them. Head comes out of the top side of that shoulder really well. Like how this heifer fits together. Everything is just super balanced. And then we had that nice second place heifer, as I mentioned, just green right now, but has a lot of just good pieces that I think are going to play well for her as she continues to develop. Just maybe want to redesign that heifer out of her front end. To me, it's really easy for your division winner, young man here out of class 2 is going to be your champion. Please put your hands together and give him a nice hand. The decision for reserve is kind of challenging because I think there's some give and take amongst the two heifers, but I think as I just described, both have a lot of good. I think for me today, there's a female that maybe just has a little bit more to her in terms of her shape and muscle and her rib dimension, but one that maybe has a better look and holds herself together a little nicer, but I'd like to change her structurally. So that's how I see the cattle. For me, I think the heifer that is going to fit the best is the young lady that was first out of that first class. But a nice division. Let's give these kids a nice hand.
Your champion late junior heifer calf comes from Class 102. That is entry 3454 from Braden Smalley of Nevada, Iowa. Your reserve champion late junior heifer calf comes from Class 101. That is entry 3451 from Miley Parker of Clarksville, Arkansas. And the ring at this time is now Class 103. These are key early junior heifer calves calved in February of 2024. We have a single entry making up Class 103. This is 3457 from Vidalia Kimball of Seymour, Wisconsin. This is the only entry in the class and the only class in the division. So first place within Class 103 becomes your champion early junior heifer calf.
Really good profiling, extended sided female here that's going to be a single in this division, and a heifer that's probably as long-bodied and probably long-spined as anything that we've seen thus far. A female for me that I think is good-footed. She's really genuine in her structure when you set her in motion. A heifer that I think's good in terms of her frame and her condition. Maybe if I want to tweak this heifer, I think for her size, she could just be a little softer and probably looser there at the base of her skeleton, make her a little more robust out of the top side of her top, and just have a little more genuine turn to her rib cage. But I think a female that's got enough just muscle shape, some true dimension. If you want to tweak her, you can maybe just stouten her up and make her a little squarer when you watch her go away from you, but still a nice single entry. Let's give this young lady a nice round of applause.
Your results for Class 103. First place in your champion early junior heifer calf is 3457 from Vidalia Kimball of Seymour, Wisconsin. We will now clear out our ring and bring up Class 104. Class 104 will be Chianina summer yearling heifers calved in May of 2023. We have two entries that will make up Class 104. Entry 3458 comes to us from William Miller of Gridley, Illinois. And 3459 comes from Landry Tibbetts of Mineral Point, Wisconsin. These are your two entries that make up Class 104. Class 104 is the only class in its division. First and second within Class 104 becomes your champion and reserve champion, summer yearling heifers.
Well, what a pair of females here. And young man, you probably didn't bring a heifer here to the National Western and think that you were going to be second in class. But I'll tell you what, these are a good pair of cattle. And I'll just describe to you what I see. I think the young man here in the cowboy hat, his heifer, I think, is fresher. She balances up better. And I think she's just a little more correct in terms of how she's built on the bottom side of her skeleton. When you step back and just analyze them, she's not as long-bodied and maybe not as extended down her top and out through her hip as the heifer in second. But to me, her chest sets back into her better. She's a cleaner fronted female that probably just balances up nicer for me. Something I really appreciate about this female is when you get right on top of her, she's super genuine in terms of her shape. She's as wide and bold right there out of the backside of her shoulder and as genuine in the dimension down her top and out of her hip as one that you could make. Now, she's plenty full, and I think when she first came into the ring, she wanted to roach her top just a little bit, but as she's been out here and relaxed, that's a really good female that I think does a lot of good here for this breed. Young man has a big, high-performing female that's super good here on the profile in terms of how she's extended, gets that head up out of the top side of her shoulder well, and gives you a good enough look for me. She's really pliable and just deep and soggy and broody there in terms of her rib design. A female for me, like I said, just plenty heavy in her condition. She's pushing a little extra chest. To me, when you get in behind her, she's maybe just not as genuine there in her pin width as the heifer that wins the class. But young man does a really, really good job getting that female shown. Really nice pair of heifers in that division.
Your results for Class 104 of your summer yearling heifers. Second place in your reserve champion summer yearling heifer is entry 3459 from Landry Tibbetts of Mineral Point, Wisconsin. Your first place in champion summer yearling heifer goes to entry 3458 from William Miller of Gridley, Illinois. In the ring this time is now Class 105. Class 105 is the only class within its division of spring yearling heifers. We have entry 3461 from Jackie Schlechter of Abilene, Kansas.
A really nice single entry here, and I asked the young lady, she's got all those indicators that she's going to calve pretty soon, and she tells me she's due on Saturday. So they're doing some late night checks and making sure that she doesn't call Denver the place that she's going to have this calf. But a female that I think for her size and just where she is in terms of her production, this is a good female. I really like the look and angle and just design that she has up front. She carries a tremendous amount of just genuine rib depth and curvature when you analyze her here and through the center portion of her body. When you set her in motion, she wants to just labor a little bit, maybe get outside of herself when you watch her go away. But if anybody along ringside has either had a cat or had a baby, or wife has had a baby, you know that when they're this close to calving, they're miserable and they're going to just move a little funky. But female that holds herself together well, love the extra look and design, really nice condition for that young lady.
Your results for Class 105. First place in your champion early spring yearling heifer is entry 3461 from Jackie Schlechter of Abilene, Kansas. We will now bring in our division winners for our judge Miss Kelsey Evans, to select your Grand and Reserve Grand Champion females. From your first division of late junior heifer calves, your champion, 3454, from Braden Smalley of Nevada, Iowa. From your second division, your champion early junior heifer calf, 3457, from Vidalia Kimball of Seymour, Wisconsin. From your third division, your champion summer yearling heifer is 3458 from William Miller of Gridley, Illinois. And from your fourth and final division, your champion early spring yearling heifer, 3461 from Jackie Schlechter of Abilene, Kansas. Those are your champions in consideration for your grand champion key female. We will now bring in our reserve champions for their respective divisions into the ring. From your first division, reserve champion late junior heifer calf, entry 3451 from Miley Parker of Clarksville, Arkansas. And from your third division, your reserve champion summer yearling heifer, 3459 from Landry Tibbetts of Mineral Point, Wisconsin. Those are your reserve champion division winners for consideration for your reserve grand champion key female.
Well, if everyone along ringside will join me and congratulate these kids that are out here in this ring. This has been a really good set, and again, not as many numbers as we've seen in some of the previous key shows at other national locations, but the quality is second to none, and what a really nice lineup. You know, I said in the Key Angus Drive that, when they read off my bio, I grew up in the Key breed. My dad got us started showing keys at the Junior Nationals in the summer of 2000 when it was in Kentucky. And we just kind of never stopped showing there. We competed, I think, in 26 Junior Nationals consecutively as a family. And this breed has just done a lot for me and my family and kind of helped develop me into who I am. It's where I've made some of my best friends. It's where I've learned a lot of life lessons. And it's just one of those things that regardless of what breed of cattle you show, what a tremendous industry to be involved in. My husband and I have two kids at home, with my dad. We told Dad that he needed to stay home and hopefully keep the cows alive and fight the snow in Kentucky. So I'd be remiss if I didn't thank him and give a shout out to Kennedy and Brooks, hopefully, that are watching at home. But, I do this for them, and I do it because I'm passionate about the industry and know how well it develops kids to be successful adults. Again, I know we've got a couple of bulls to sort through, but just want to extend my gratitude to the entire Key Association, the senior board, just a job well done to Dustin and Heather. January is kind of one of those marathon months where they spend more time in hotels away from their family than they do, in their own bed cheering on their kids at the different events and stuff that they're involved in. So Dustin and Heather, thank you for the sacrifices that you guys make to give these kids out here in this ring the opportunity to highlight the hard work that they do throughout the year. I'm not going to go back through and talk the cattle. I've done that in the breed or in the classes in their divisions, but I think there's a pair of females that suit me quite well. And honestly, I could kind of go a couple of different ways, but there's a pair of females I think that just kind of hit me hard, that I'm going to be really confident and happy to stand at the backdrop with. So again, thank you so much for the opportunity. Put your hands together a final time and I'll get you a set of champions.
Your grand champion key female comes from your 3rd division. That is entry 3458 from William Miller of Gridley, Illinois. Now moving into consideration for the reserve will be the reserve from the 3rd division. That is entry 3459 from Landry Tibbetts. Your reserve grand champion key female comes from your 4th division of early spring yearling heifers. That is entry 3461 from Jackie Schlechter of Abilene, Kansas. Congratulations to our female exhibitors. We will move right into our bull show. We'll go right into class 401 of our Key Angus bulls. We will not take a picture break. We will roll right into class 401. Class 401 is Key Angus late junior bull calves, calved of April of 2024. Class 401 will have entry 3471 coming from Baron Strope of O'Neill, Nebraska. Class 401 is the only class in its division. It's also the only division in the show. So first place in Class 401 will become your champion late junior bull calf, as well as your grand champion Key Angus bull.
Well, as they said, just a single entry Key Angus bull here, and young lady brings a really nice one here to evaluate. Really like how this guy's build on the front end of his skeleton in terms of how that neck ties so good there out of the top side of his shoulder. He's a long-bodied bull that's just tremendous in terms of the shape and dimension he has out of his hip and down into his quarter when you get behind him. When you set him in motion, he's sound enough. I'd maybe like to just relax him in the angle to his shoulder and allow him to make maybe just a little a longer stride off that front end of his body, but a really good profile and good balance calf that I think has a lot of good days ahead of him. Congratulations to her. Put your hands together and give her a round of applause.
Your grand champion Key Angus bull for 2025 National Western Stock Show's Bull Show is entry 3471 from Baron Strope of O'Neill, Nebraska. We will right now move into Class 201. These are Chianina bulls. This is Class 201 of bulls calved May of 2023. We have a single entry within Class 201. This is entry 3472 from Katie and Sam Rucker of Montague, Texas. Class 201 is the only class in the division and the only division within the show. So therefore, first place within this Class 201 will become your champion Summer Yearling Bull and your Grand Champion Key Bull.
Well, the gentleman here bring their single entry, and a bull you sure have to appreciate just the look and design that he has here on the profile. So good down his top and out of his hip. Love the extra just foot shape and circumference of bone that he has underneath of him. Good middled calf that is going to just continue, I think, to develop for them. Really nice single entry automatic champion key bull. Please put your hands together for the gentleman and give them a round of applause.
Your Grand Champion Key Bull comes from 3472 from Katie and Sam Rucker of Montague, Texas. Congratulations once again to all of our key exhibitors. We will now have pictures at our backdrop with our official photographers of the National Western, which is Legacy Livestock Imaging. That does conclude the key show here. We will start back up with another cattle show at Stadium Arena here at 1 o'clock with our Charolais. Don't forget that this evening at 5 p.m., they are having a Stadium Arena celebration. We're going to celebrate the 116 years that this great palace has provided, crowning champions since 1909. There's going to be live music from Eric Golden, and beer and cocktails, raffles, and plenty of food to go around. It's presented by National Western's Common Spirit Health, Purina Honor Show, and Trans-Ova Genetics. So be sure to stop back in for our Charolais show and our Stadium Arena celebration at 5.